So psychiatry is fantastic. My partner said to me, if you get really anxious or unwell, don't get passive aggressive with the audience. That was her one direction, and she said don't drink. So I'm doing okay so far. But that's what happens, I suppose, when you are an artist and you have mental health issues. There's this deep sort of sense of either one, it's so typical it's boring, or it's kind of shameful and should be hidden. And you don't want to become the mental health poet, and you don't want to become a victim in the narrative, but you also want to try and explore it without being just an observer of it. So it's this interesting sort of interplay when you try to write about mental health experiences. One of my mental health experiences was having ECT, and I think that's where psychiatry really fucked up its marketing, because rebranding it from electroshock therapy to electroconvulsive therapy, what the fuck were they thinking? There's nothing particularly sexy in that, you know? Plus ECT sounds like a bad 80s band, like ABC or OMD or Ecstasy would have been better. That's a good fucking band. Plus, if someone said, do you want to come and have 4 ecstasies in a week? I'd be like, I'm in, totally. And then you have this whole issue of, you know, these beautiful phrases like, you've become treatment resistant. And the other one, which is great, is, you know, you've given informed consent. And there's nothing like being in an acute state of psychological and psychic distress to say yes to a room full of 4 people, intern psych nurse, social worker, some other witness, between you and the door. That's a great situation to give informed consent to something without reading the small print. So, and you're really lucky to live in Victoria, because it's one of the only states, it's the only state in Australia where ECT can be given to children of any age. So you should be really proud of that as a state, that is actually the case. And ECT has actually in the last decade increased from 60% to about 190% in every state in Australia, quite silently, despite having hardly changed as a treatment and still having no scientific basis to actually changing any of the conditions it was apparently designed for in Italy in about 1940s, 50s. A child of 12 years and older can apparently give informed consent to have ECT or psychosurgery in Victoria. And it's really great that, you know, who would have thought a country like New Zealand, you know, they're not that progressive, would have 1/6 of the rate of ECT. 1/6 of the rate. My partner's Maori. I'm being sardonic, it's all good. It's irony, it's okay. But like, excuse me, it's good to yell out at poetry gigs. It doesn't happen enough. Everyone's so silent these days. You're excused. So in New Zealand, it's 1/6 of the rate of ECT over there. You know, who would have thought that? And in Queensland has 1,000 times the rate of ECT given than the UK. So, you know, we're doing well. If we're thinking about Commonwealth Gold sort of games terms, we're doing fantastic in regards to electroconvulsive therapy. So I wrote this prose poem. It's called The Electric Journal. It's a little bit long, but that's okay. I'm going to read it anyway. The Electric Journal. Day. I become treatment resistant to drugs. They advised me I would be better served with other recreational pursuits. Days. They are talking up the effectiveness of brain damage. I recall a child I knew in my street who could nosebleed on the spot. I see the colour red. 2 of them sit in the room with me. The door is on the other side of their intentions. They are common, persistent, and significant people that I will see for the rest of my life. Day. I am considered an excellent candidate for ECT. I am thrilled. My arts degree has come to something after all. You can laugh if you want, it's okay. I hold off calling my mother and friends. Day. The drip is in your arm. You watch the way even water can be taken from rain. When faced with the truth, it's better to focus on symptoms. Day, a tiny prick than a hot-blooded war. Night, I state I was not harmed. This is part of the process. I keep repeating this as I walk around the house trying to find where I live. Day. The next day I feel like a seedless watermelon. Opponents claim that the apparent improvement is an example of post-concussion euphoria. The effects are short-lived. Soon dark seeds return to the pink fruit. Day. Remission rates are encouraging. I sit in the waiting room with my name on my wrist in case I forget what wrists are for. Your name is not yours once it's in their mouth. Night. There is a growing body of survivors. I hear them shake during the threat of summer storms in the sudden lightning that strikes the least resistant tree. Days. The nurse in front of me tells me they rarely find significant and persistent deficits in memory for autobiographical events. Later, I rewrite this woman out of the scene. Nights. Asking for help does a good deal of damage. Days. Any diagnosis has the trappings of science. When I say efficacy, they say efficiency. I am told there are people out there who are unscientific deniers. They tell me that the earth is flat. I act shocked that my earth is now flat. Then they shock me too. Night. Looking at the night sky, I believe that a rotating and revolving rock is not merely a fiction of faith. I stop crying. Night. I kiss you and my lips tingle, the slight but significant risk of death. Nights. I will not dismiss the rigorous evidence. I know I am not okay, even if it is inconvenient. If I let them take me to their quarters, who will wake up? Days. Cherry picks her evidence. Cherry is a fictional character. Nights. Our love is a moral and spiritual document. I study it while you sleep, knowing I can catch up. The nature of her physical universe demands it. Days. I cling tenaciously to the belief that I am wrong in the right hands. Days. I'm relieved to be informed that the memory loss was all in my head. Days. Given another antipsychotic, unsteady decline. Days. Treated aggressively with 5 new drugs. Reporting side and/or adverse effects are proof of my escalating mental illness. I stand still once the blood is spinning. Days. My partner is told by the team I am considered high risk. She stays with me as she knew that when we met. When I become low risk, she will leave and I will go to bed on their terms. Nights. Someone wakes me. I am informed of the requirement for maintenance ECT for the rest of my life and drugs for the rest of my life. Every time they say life, I say file. Days. Feeling old, not making old memories. Nights. Continue to have tremors in my legs. The dog walks by unsettled. Weeks. Follow-up periods after the end of treatment will be determined by how fast I run. Night. Last night the dream. Then I wake. Boys hanging, dead. Days. There is another doctor looming over my bed. She is holding a clipboard. They loom further. The clipboard is now in their hand. Are you consenting or should we force you? I consent to be forced. Days. I go to my doctor and tell him I want to be beaten over the head until I collapse. The doctor sends me to another doctor who tells me I am very unwell in the head at the point of mental collapse. They prescribe regular doses of closed head trauma behind closed doors. I no longer want to be beaten over the head until I collapse. Nights. The chemical imbalance lie. If you can walk along the line, it doesn't mean the line is there. Days. DIY. One day I will buy a taser and do it myself. Nights. I function with a wall of sticky note reminders. One of the notes helps me recall there is a wall. Nights. I stay up all night trying to lift my spirits out of the drink. Days. When I open my eyes, they tell me I have beautiful eyes. I can't see anything, just the whitewash and their black stones. Nights. I don't remember my grandmother's funeral. I wasn't there. Nights. Since my family prefers me damaged, I commence psychiatric treatment. Days. I invoke the conspiracy argument that all doctors are failed dentists. The committee of truth gathers round and concludes my teeth won't come out. The fracture or dislocation of the long bones is long behind us. Days. Head-to-head comparison. Mine is still on their shoulders. Nights. I have days where I feel I'm in my body, then it passes and I'm back in this body. Nights. I'm an assistant in my assisted suicide. I put on my gown willingly and ascend the throne. My blood pressure is taken. They ask me why I am here and I say, because I am not there. The trolley bed is pushed uneasily through hall after hall after hall, tight corners and all. Then we are there and they surround me with their theatre. Days. A lot of people blame it for Hemingway's suicide, to shoot yourself in the temple with a double-barreled 12-gauge shotgun, the same gun your father used. I know he begged his wife not to send him back again. If you cheat too many times, your boxing ring will become a concrete swimming pool and you will be sent back into the toaster. He wrote his weight daily on the bathroom wall. We are heavy on their scales. Every time he got a divorce, he left for another country. The doctors hold our passports in case they need to identify a body having never seen our face. Last night, I woke up on the roof. By the time I got down, I was asleep. Days. I'm released into the care of the one person who cares. Days. He's much happier, they say. They smile when they say it, not that they see him these days. Nights. I was told it was my only hope. People around me cross my fingers. Days. They give me multiple choice. Am I one, an option that a person might want to be? Two, there remains no such option. Days. This one is paternalistic, warm hands, assuring me I won't mess myself. I try my hardest to shit the bed, but instead I smile and tell him I love my son. I tried very hard to answer them. Doubly incontinent. Days. In 1938, Saletti visited the Rome abattoir where electric shocks were used to render pigs comatose prior to slaughter. Inspired by the fact that pigs were not actually killed by a voltage of 125 volts driving an electric current through the head for a few tenths of a second. Inspired, I give up bacon as a precursor. Nights. I'm in danger of having a pretty thin time of it. Nights. I spontaneously and miraculously recover from all diagnoses and labels. They tell me this is a sure sign of relapse. The new label sticks. Nights. Mood collapses again like a bridge taking cars down to water. Days. Case notes. You have the right to apply for access to information held in your health records. Having watched them writing several first drafts, I tell them I know a good editor. Characterization is hard if you don't study people. Daisies. Certifiable. The admin nurse tells me I will need to provide a certified copy of all documents. If they smile at you at the front desk, they know less than you. Days. Headaches are not caused by trauma to one's head. Long-term effects have been reported by the deceased. Nights. I continue this love affair with pills. Day. No further improvement is noted in the notes.